Hello and welcome to this City Skylines video. It's a tutorial. We'll be playing the city of Blackwater without using any mods of significance. We'll be using the Kill Chirper, Tree Brush, Purchase All Tiles and the first person mod, of course. Got to put that in. We'll be playing on the Blackwoods map so everybody can join in if they like. This map is custom in the game. At first, I like to pause the game and survey the map so I can identify where there's water, where there's railroad, etc. And we have a nice starting tile here. Now, one of the reasons I made this tutorial is because most of the tutorials will make you believe that you'll have to start at the entrance and exit of the highway ramp. That is not true. I choose my own starting point and I prefer the natural resources in close vicinity because in my opinion, in the narrative of most cities, that's where they'll start. When you build from the highway on, yeah, that's maybe an American style, but I, as a European, do not prefer that. So I actually make my residential and commercial zone and I have them like face one square where utilities can be placed, and on the other side I make my industrial zone so pollution is not a problem for my citizens. I make use of an 11 block unit, separating actually the houses with one empty block, which space-wise is maybe not ideal, but for coverage of the water system it is perfect. There is hardly any overlap, and you'll see that later on in the game. It also gives a little bit more space for cars to maneuver. Notice that I actually only use 2-lane roads. At the start of the game they're cheap and they are efficient enough for use even well in the late stages of the game. And late stages I mean when you're working towards being a big city. As you can see, the coverage is exactly just over the adjacent street, the parallel street. So when I would place another one on the other side, it actually covers almost perfectly. You'll see that later on in this video. Connect two pipes, and now I need water intake. I like to do that where there's a current, so I will not be altering the current by placing a couple of these water pumps in a row. And my waste is nicely going outside of the map. Later on I place these pumps and stations further away to the edges of the map, but for the moment this is space enough. I built my power coal plant. I like to use this power plant because it's very efficient. It needs coal, but in the beginning of the game that can be easily imported from the highway, so that's why it's close to the highway. And yeah, I use the coal power plant until the advanced wind turbine is available, as you'll see later on. So preparations are done. Let's start the simulation. So the city has been born, first people flowing in, and the first demands will have to be met. The first demand is of course electricity and water, electricity and sanitation. As soon as the first residents are arriving, the demand for commercial buildings is slowly increasing, and as soon as the first commercial buildings are finished, your industrial demand will start, as you can see in the meters. I just created my first traffic light. Well, it will not do any harm yet, but more on traffic lights in the second video. As you can see, the residential area is nicely facing the square. We have reached the stage of Little Hamlet, which gives the opportunity to raise the taxes, which will increase our income. But we're making a plus already, and we have enough money left to build all the utilities in this stage of the game. The landfill, once filled, cannot be removed. Then it has to be emptied first. And as I plan to fill it up completely and then empty it in my waste incinerators later, I need to place it carefully. I put out my medical clinic and my education, my first elementary school. Education takes some time. People need to spend, your Sims need to spend some time at the school before they reach a higher education level. I here make my exit and entrance to the highway a little bit different. Now all the traffic for the industrial area will go up, and all the traffic for the residential area will go down. It already is immediately disperses traffic from the get-go. Soon we'll have reached our next target, which is a worthy village and gives access to the fire station and police station. The fire station is actually a little bit more relevant than the police station. The fire station prevents building from really burning down, and before they're evicted because of crime, that will take some time. But as soon as because I have the money, I can build it. For housing level 2, you actually don't need the police station, but it helps to cover for any missing other utility. Although placed as I have them now, only the top part of my town will benefit from its coverage. But as you can see, that's where the upgrading of housing level already is happening. So it makes sense to first actually expand on that, but because there's already water coverage in this southern part, I fill up the southern part first. Now this is the starting combination, which I really like, where you have one central square and 3 residential areas going in different directions. We have reached tiny town. Now we can build the high school. And education is key, so I really like to install it fast, but at the moment we lack money. Only very momentarily though. The high school is essential to upgrade your industrial level later to level 2. For that you really need high school educated workers. Elementary school educated workers will not do the job. As you can see, and what a beautiful coverage. And because of the extra space, I really adopted this 11 block unit. Even though I'm working in a square now, I like to round things up, because in nature nothing is actually exactly perpendicular. Everything is curved, rounded, smoothed, according to the spiral of Fibonacci, if I'm not mistaken. I will not go that far, but I mimic the organic look to give myself more pleasant feel about black water. Our utilities are now back up to 100% funding. Funding your utilities or underfunding it gives you a penalty. So if I underfund it to 90%, it actually only gives 80% output. But if I overclock it, so to speak, to 120%, it gives only 110% output. So putting him at 100% funding is actually very much, how do you say, dictated by this part of the game. You can overclock it momentarily, but you'll actually like to expand on it. And for instance, in your electric department, that's why I really like the advanced wind turbine, which will unlock soon. As I said, actually don't need police coverage to upgrade these lower houses. They do have access to all the other utilities in the central square, and now with the the fire station extra, it will also upgrade this lower part. Having a park, starting with beautification. This is a nice part of this game. We'll now can install our first mass transit system, and we have access to the advanced wind turbine. Both we will use shortly. For my mass transit bus line, I like to have a loop for my bus, so it actually can cover two places very efficiently. Having it come up and down the same road, yeah, that actually only leads to congestion. Start of my mass transit system. Now we have the loop installed, and you'll see how this first bus line will pass industrial area and residential area, so people can take the bus to work. Later on we'll see if it's running efficiently. Bus stops almost cost nothing, so even when you're waiting for money, you can buy them, because I don't know what they cost, but it doesn't hurt you. And bus lines, as one of your exception to your mass transport system, will be running a profit. As you can see, there's a lot of upgrades going on now of housing level and commercial buildings, and that also just generates more revenue from your city. This is a nice example of this water coverage system with this 11 tile unit. It fits in perfectly. I think the developers of the game meant for us to play like this. Although I do not really like to follow expectations as much as it might appear now, but in this case, for the game, it's actually quite fun to follow their guidance. Now we'll have to install the advanced wind turbine fast, but I spent a little bit too much money on roads. Else I could have bought it probably a little bit sooner. And here pops up an ID. Why not generate some more revenue by creating a second bus line, which goes all alongside the commercial area, which they love. And there we already have it, the advanced wind turbine solving my electrical problems. It's time to give the deaf a place to rest. Although they will not add up very fast, because my city is very relatively new. And if you have ever looked into the inhabitants of your city, they all are very young now. Just a message came by the commercial level 2. I hope you took notes, because you see now how easy it is to just upgrade them. The recycling policy I really like, because that helps to not have to use a second landfill before your incinerators will be available. Sometimes it doesn't work, because then I took a wrong turn or was distracted by something. But in this tutorial, I'll actually be focusing on on progress, so probably that won't happen. This is enough citizens to reach, or enough capacity for citizens to reach the next level. Just putting some extra space for commercial area, and already expanding on my industrial area because it really takes some time before it will be able to upgrade to level 2 industrial area, because of the need of educated citizens, which are, as we speak, they're being educated. But if I would try to upgrade this part already to level 2 industry, it will be stopped because there's not enough workforce yet that is educated. Let electricity be transported by the buildings, and to kill some time, wait, let me install another electricity unit. Advanced wind turbines. With wind still or without wind, they're about 16 watts, and when there's some wind, they work efficiently at 20 watt or megawatt or whatever. I make a little survey. I see that there's upgrading being done everywhere, and now it's just actually sitting out some time before we'll reach the next development point. It's a stormy weather at the moment, which is for my wind turbines actually great. Probably now I have an extra electricity output which is not being used, but that's okay. Again, they still are very efficient in their maintenance costs. Just a couple more citizens. So let's kill some time by taking a bus tour. This is our looping bus, which here comes in the commercial district, the residential district, and at every stop I see people stepping in and other coming out. So that's a good thing. Here we have our little bend road. I like that. And here we come back to the starting point in the industrial area. I let that run window open so you can see how many people are actually still in the bus, and it's about a 50%. We reach busy town. This was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you at the next episode of Blackwater.